Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to everybody listening on X. Shouts out to everybody listening on Facebook, which I don't think many people are listening on Facebook because I actually have to share that. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and share that on Facebook so people can actually see it. Much love to everybody here, no matter if you're at home, at work, etc., etc. Thank you so much for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be a part of your viewing and listening pleasure. Also want to give a special shout out to everybody that was over on the NFC South Roundtable on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. every single Tuesday throughout the 2024 NFL season. And if you missed a little bit of the show, this is a little bit of what you missed. We were doing predictions, and this is what I said. I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons are a physical team. I think that they're going to be a soft football team. I think they got questions in their linebacker room when it comes to Caden Ellis. I don't think he's good at covering. Tony Anderson's not really good at covering. I think that the secondary is very overrated. If you look at the fact that Cordell Patterson is on the other side of the football, I think he's going to have something to prove. I think that they're going to use Justin Fields, and it's going to confuse the hell out of Raheem Morris and their defensive coordinator. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be excited. I've seen this movie before. I'm about to set it up for y'all. They all excited getting into that stadium. Everybody excited. Everybody draped in red, you know what I'm saying, ready. They ready to make their Super Bowl run, and then they're probably going to have a lead. And everybody going to be happy. They're going to be playing all them songs from the 2000s, snapping your fingers, you know what I'm saying? Franchise Boys, Gucci Mane up in that thing. And then around the fourth quarter, that's when Russell going to cook. And then they're going to bring in Justin Fields for some type of RPO situation where he just going to hit his head on a goalpost. And I'm going to love every single minute of it. I promise you, man, I'm going to love every single minute of this. So that's what y'all get from the NFC South Roundtable, man. I'm gonna go ahead and put that link in the comments. That's just a little portion of what took place. Check out the entire episode, man. But all jokes aside, man, shouts out to my boy Clay, Smitty, and James, man. They do a really good job over there. We have fun, man. But make sure that you subscribe to that channel. And I take a lot of pleasure. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, Who Dat Nation. I take a lot of pleasure knowing that I am the most hated man in Atlanta Falcon land. Like, seriously, my videos and takes, they get shared more by Atlanta Falcon fans than Saints fans. But that just goes to show you, they already know when you hit them in the mouth with the truth, they can't dispute it. They can't dispute it, man. They cannot dispute it. They want me to concede and say that the Atlanta Falcons are better, but they are not, man. They are not better. I'm sorry, man. And all I gotta say is, come this Sunday, all the talking goes out of the window, and reality is going to hit, right? I mean, the 2024 season is here. Reality is going to hit. I am so glad that I am the most hated man among Atlanta Falcon fans. My tweets are being shared. My videos are being shared. But all in all, man, like I said, I heard this movie before, all right? I heard the movie before. I did, man. I heard the movie before. All right. It's the same old thing, man. We ready. Then you lose, have a losing season. Then it's when Mike Smith got fired, man. We this ain't the Mike Smith Atlanta Falcons. Then Dan Quinn get fired. This ain't the Dan Quinn Atlanta Falcons. And then Arthur Smith gets fired. This ain't the Arthur Smith Atlanta Falcons. Eventually, they're gonna be right. Like, I will give them that. Like, you keep on saying the same thing over and over again, you're gonna end up being right one of these days, man. But all in all, man, I take a lot of pride at taking them shots at them losers over there in Atlanta, and also, having a good time over there in the NFC South Roundtable. So make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. But back to a team that actually is innovative and they don't have to bite and steal ideas. The New Orleans Saints. The 2024 season is here. It is here. Who Dat Nation? I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it. All of this talking, all of this stuff from the offseason, all of these things that are taking place. We've talked about this ad nauseum, man. What the offense going to look like, what the line going to look like, what the quarterback going to look like. All of these things we have talked about, man. But now it's time to play football, and I'm excited about it, man. When I look at this New Orleans Saints team, I know some people morale is low. And some of the reasons, why they're low has to do with the offensive line, right? Has to do with the head coach, Dennis Allen. And it has to do with quarterback Derek Carr. I put a poll up online. And I asked the question, not many people. This is not the entire Who Dat Nation, but I appreciate those that took the poll over on X at TJY Jones 8, by the way, if you want to follow your boy. All right. I did a poll, and the question was asked, can the Saints quarterback Derek Carr win back the Who Dat Nation? Now, 698 people have voted on this, and there's still 6 hours left. So if you haven't voted on it, once again, at TJY Jones 8, go ahead and take the poll. But the question was asked, can the Saints quarterback Derek Carr win back the Who Dat Nation? And out of 698 people, 52.9% say no. 47, well, now we're at 701. 47.2% says yes. So it's not that far off, man. So that tells me it's almost close to being 50-50 here. You got some fans that feel like maybe, some of the things that he can actually do, like win a football game of some meaning, play really well, maybe, that can win back the Who Dat Nation. And then you got other people out there that just feel like there's nothing that he can do that can change your mind. And we're going to open up the phone lines in just a second, man. I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'm going to hear from you all. I want you to answer this question. Can Derek Carr win back the Who Dat Nation? And if so, how could he do it? But before we get into that, I do want to acknowledge some of the things that are going on. Of course, we know that the depth chart came out. I don't think I did a show about the depth chart, but I do want to talk about it for just a few minutes, if y'all don't mind, man. If you bear with me here, let me go ahead and pull up the depth chart, and we'll go ahead and go from there. Now, the depth chart has been a little bit controversial in some areas, to say the least. I'm taking a look at it right now. This is actually from Catherine Terrell's X page. She put it up on September 3rd, so about yesterday. And we'll start with the quarterback position. Really, no surprise at starting quarterback, Derek Carr, who is the topic of conversation for this show. But then you look at the second string or the backup, you have Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler. And this is one of those questions and comments that people have had. The question is, who's going to be the backup quarterback? The comment is, why can't Dennis Allen make a decision and just tell us who he wants it to be? And everybody, for the most part, feels like he knows who he wants to have as his backup quarterback, but he doesn't want to say it. And this is one of the issues that some members of the Who Dat Nation have with Dennis Allen. They feel like he is too passive. He'd rather make everybody a winner instead of choosing a winner. And this is things that they feel like, you have to do in order for you to be an effective head coach. We seen that from Mike Tomlin, right? You had Justin Fields, who played pretty well. with the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout off season and training camp and in preseason games. And then you had Russell Wilson, who came over from the Denver Broncos. But Mike Tomlin went to the podium and said, look, Russell Wilson is our quarterback, right? Despite how well Justin Fields was playing, that is who our quarterback is going to be. Sean Payton out there in Denver said Bo Nix is his quarterback. Didn't choose Jarrett Stidham, didn't choose Zach Wilson. Didn't choose either one of those guys. Said Bo Nix, the rookie, is our quarterback. Now, you can say, well, it really doesn't matter because none of these guys are starting. But what we have seen, especially last year and a few years now with the New Orleans Saints, and this even dates back to Drew Brees, the backup quarterback has a really strong chance of playing in a real game of meaning. And we know that the New Orleans Saints are going to have the most effective guy out there. Now, I know everybody's high on Spencer Rattler. I know hashtag the agenda is reigning supreme everywhere. But if you like Jake Haener more than you like Spencer Rattler, you feel like he puts you in the best position, then you go with him. Like, you just have to take the scrutiny. You're not going to make everybody happy. Contrary to popular belief, you got some people out here that really like Jake Haener. And if Jake Haener was appointed as the backup quarterback, people wouldn't get mad. I wouldn't get mad. I wouldn't. I would not get mad. I would not get mad because the thing about it is I like Spencer Rattler, but I don't know if he's exactly ready to be starting in games on a full-time basis just yet. I think that he needs to sit and be able to kind of analyze the game, go through the motions, kind of, pick it up, the speed of the game, and then be ready. Maybe around, his second season, we see where we're at there. If you like Jake Haener, which a lot of us did, like let's make it very, very clear. It's not like anybody had anything against Jake Haener. I didn't hear anybody talking about Jake Haener ain't good, Jake Haener ain't this, Jake Haener ain't that. A lot of people were trying to talk up Jake Haener until Spencer Rattler came into the room. That's what I've been talking about. The whole Woody Buzz Lightyear complex. Woody was Andy's favorite toy until Buzz Lightyear came into the room on his birthday, right? I mean, so I'm not going to just throw this guy away and forget about some of the good qualities that Jake Haener has just because I feel like Spencer Rattler has better upside. My thing is, if you want him to be your backup quarterback, just say it. It's pretty obvious when you go to the press conference and you hear him talking about some of the great qualities of Jake Haener. After the question was asked about Spencer Rattler, you kind of switched it and started talking about Jake Haener. But it just seems to me like you don't want to make this decision. And I don't want to believe that it's about what fans' perspective is, because I think we all know now, like, for the most part, this team doesn't really care about what we think at all as fans. Like, they're going to do what they want to do regardless. So that can't be a factor behind you saying Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler, right? But I just say, man, go with somebody, make that decision and keep it moving. I don't think anybody will get upset. I like Jake Haener. Jake Haener has been around the team. He's going into his second season. He's been there. The trust level has been developed. So as far as I'm concerned, if you like him, roll with him. Then you got the running back position. You got Alvin Kamara as your starter. You got Jamal Williams, and then you got Jordan Mims. So Alvin Kamara, that's no surprise. Don't have the soundbite from Alvin Kamara. Don't have the soundbite from AK. Him talking to the media. He talked maybe about 7 minutes. Very open. He was open about his contract. He said that he doesn't want to talk about his contract right now. He's focused on the season. It seems like to me like Alvin Kamara is very, very confident in his ability. I think that he also believes in what Clint Kubiak is doing. I think that he knows that Clint Kubiak is going to put him in the best position to succeed. And by doing so, it's going to do two things. It's going to make the New Orleans Saints be willing to pay him, or he's going to price himself out of New Orleans, one or the other. So I don't look at, Alvin Kamara like he just about to go out there and just phone it in, or he going to run lazy or whatever like that. Like, I think that he's going to be motivated to play. And, if the New Orleans Saints aren't smart enough to go out there and sign this guy, after he has a really good and effective season, if they don't realize that the offense that they were running last year and the year before that was detrimental to the momentum of Alvin Kamara, then I don't know what to tell them. Like that offense of the New Orleans Saints failed Alvin Kamara. And it's the reason why people have this perception as if he's washed or he's not good enough to be able to play at a high level anymore. I don't believe that. Alvin Kamara has always been a special running back. He has the ability to run in between the tackles, but his strengths are stretch plays and tosses and also catching the ball out of the backfield. You can send this guy on angle routes, wheel routes, etc., etc. The screen plays, some of the things that died a terrible death when Sean Payton left, and things that the New Orleans Saints have to pick up. I often say this. I feel like it's just absolutely ridiculous that some Saints fans will look at this offense and how stagnant it has been and how uninnovative it has been over the last couple of years, but then turn around and they'll say something like, Chris Olave ain't the wide receiver he needs to be. Alvin Kamara is washed. What's going on with the offense? Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, it is pretty obvious, man. Like, if you don't adapt with the times, if you don't evolve, you're going to kind of like just stay still, right? You got to be able to evolve, man. I think about with technology, and some of the different AI things that's going on in this world. Like, you may not want to buy into it, but eventually you're going to have to learn how to use these things, or you're going to kind of get lost in the sauce. So you're going to be asking people, like, what this button do, what that button do. Going to be calling your kids, calling your cousin, calling your brother, and asking them how to use this device. You got to be able to evolve with the times. And the New Orleans Saints did not do that. But now they are trying to. And Clint Kubiak, to me, will put Alvin Kamara in the best position to succeed. And I think that the perception is going to change for number 41 for those that are very skeptical about him. Moving on, let's go to the wide receiver position. You got Rashid Shaheed out there. You got Chris Olave. And you also have Cedric Wilson. You got Mason Tipton. You got A.T. Perry. And you also have Bub Means out there as well. So this group right here, we all agree that it's pretty top heavy. It's pretty top heavy. And, after Shaheed and Olave, you really are wondering what those other guys can do. We know that the New Orleans Saints have worked out some players. John Ross up in that thing. You had, the guy from the XFL. His name escapes me. I apologize. Philip Dorsett out there. Some guys that are very noticeable, guys that we know their names. But it just seems like to me the Saints aren't really that satisfied with the wide receiver position. Look, I don't feel like the cavalry is coming, Who Dat Nation. I don't feel like the cavalry is coming. I don't feel like you just automatically just going to get a guy off the street and he just going to change your misfortunes, right? I think that this is the group that they're going to run with. I think that you can do some things with Olave and Shaheed if you incorporate Taysom, if you incorporate 8K, if you incorporate Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Dallin Holker when he becomes healthy. Like, I think that you'll be able to do some things, in order to make your offense effective. But at the same time, if something was to happen to Chris Olave, and we already seen that, Rashid Shaheed has been dealing with injuries, what are you going to do then? You're asking guys who are kind of middle of the pack or guys that are trying to figure it out themselves, trying to become pros, to be able to step up into a number 1, number 2 spot. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that, man. So the Saints are going to have to rely, they're going to have to rely on, winning the battle of attrition if they're going to be effective in this wide receiver room. They're going to have to count on Shaheed and Olave to be upright every single game for the most part. You're going to have some games where you're going to be running the football and, these guys' stats aren't going to be as appealing. But all in all, man, you got to be able to go out there and be willing to maybe put up 25, 30 points. I mean, when you play the Cowboys in week 2, man, that is a very effective offense. And, even though you have one of the best defenses in the league, they got a lot of playmakers around there that can counteract what you're doing. So you're going to have to be able to put up points, and you're going to have to be able to go toe for toe with some of the best offenses in the league. The question is, can they do that? We haven't seen it yet. We only seen it in a very vanilla sample size in preseason. You know, Ross Jackson, I've seen him talk about it. It's been like less than vanilla. What they were showing out there in training camp, out there in Irvine. So I want to see this thing actually come into play. How's it going to look? How's it going to be effective? And can the New Orleans Saints be able to generate some levels of success offensively? But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. And then, like I said, a little bit later in the show, we'll get into, answering the questions, what will it take in order for you to buy into Derek Carr? We'll get into that. All right. But Jordan, thank you very much for the $4.99. Rounded off to the nearest $5. It says the problem is Jake Haener should be the backup. Spencer is a rookie starter that is being pushed to the side for a Carr. Keep up the good work, TJ. Jordan, thank you, man. Look, I think that Jake Haener deserves to be the backup. I think that Spencer Rattler deserves to be the backup. I don't think any guy really separated themselves. When one guy had a bad game, and the other guy had a good game, the next guy made up for the bad game that he had. So it was kind of a mixed bag. And it sounds to me, and it seems to me that based on the language and based on the footage, I mean, they pretty much on the same equal playing field, which to me, that kind of like speaks volumes to me about the upside of Spencer Rattler. Like Jake Haener has been in the league. This is going on his second year. And Jake Haener is one of those guys who, everybody talks about how he grasps the playbook, and how smart he is when it comes to picking up the offense. And Spencer Rattler is right there with him. So imagine what Spencer Rattler can actually be, if he's right here with Jake Haener, him going into his second season, understanding that offense. Imagine what he can be in year 2 for him. So the fact that he's actually challenging Jake Haener fresh out of South Carolina, I mean, why should we sit up here and try to wait on this guy? Why should we push this guy to go out there? I should say, why should you do that? I don't feel like that's necessary. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it, man, because I already know, and I'm going to continue to say it. Saint fans going to clamor for this guy. They're going to be up here talking about he needs to play. But then they're not going to take into account that this guy's a rookie if he goes through some level of hardships or he don't end up being exactly what you want him to be right away. Some Saints fans, I'm sorry. If I'm not talking about you, I'm not talking about you. Some of y'all don't know y'all don't understand football. Y'all just y'all look at it from an emotional standpoint. Oh, I thought he was everything, all that in a Hot Wheel track. I thought he was all that in a bag of Doritos, man. Man, we doomed. You ain't going to give him the chance. You ain't going to give him the opportunity in order for him to develop. If this guy doesn't go out there side-arming, doing no-look passes and dropping dimes every single week, then people are going to just sour on him. And I don't want to see that because I understand that guys are young. They have to understand the speed of the league. They got to understand like what defenses are doing to them. This is the best of the best. This is the creme de la creme. I don't care how bad a football team is. I don't care how bad they are, man. Like they can come in there and they can beat one of the best teams in the league. I don't care if a team has one win. They can go up against a team that probably has multiple wins and still, beat them very decisively. So that's my opinion. We're going to come back after this word from BetUS. Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, and I want to say thank you for checking out this video here on the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to let you know this season, the State of the Saints podcast is powered by BetUS. Sign up and save up to 125% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Go to BetUS to find out more. The description is down below. Sorry about that. In the middle of that announcement, my wife called me. But anyway, man, look, the description is down below. Shouts out to BetUS, man. The show is powered by BetUS. Right now, on BetUS, the New Orleans Saints are favored -4 over the Carolina Panthers. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you all. All right. So can't pull it up, but they're -4 over the Carolina Panthers. So shouts out to BetUS You can go there online. The description is down below. Once again, click on it. If you want to bet that the Saints, the Saints win the game, or if you feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to lose the football game, man, make sure that you place your bets. Save up to 125% on your first 3 deposits. There's 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000. So go to BetUS and find out more. All right, but let's go ahead and continue. Read some more of these comments here. Says JPZ from the XFL. Yeah, well, man, that shows you right there where the Saints are at. That goes to show you where the Saints are at right now. The Saints are man, them boys in them couch cushions, boy. They are in this couch cushion right now, boy. They have broke the penny bank open, boy. They scrapping right now. And the thing about it is, like, it's not like they acting like Warren Buffett. Like, Warren Buffett is one of the richest men in the world, right? But Warren Buffett is one of the cheapest men in the world. And that's what the Saints are doing right now. Like, the Saints have money to make an extravagant expense if they want to, but it seems to me that they're trying to get themselves back to the middle. I say this. I feel like the New Orleans Saints are trying to make themselves competitive, like just competitive enough for 2024. Like, be in a game, go up against some of these teams and be able to put up a fight, maybe, sneak into the playoffs, win a division based on, being in a weak division. But I think that the Saints are really going to start like making a run at it in 2025. That's just my honest opinion, man. I think that it's going to pretty much decide, the fate of Dennis Allen. It's going to, decide, like, should we, invest more money in certain players? This is what I feel. And the Saints have a wait and see approach, kind of similar to a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation. It's a wait and see approach. Like, you want to put, a good little act out there, right? It's almost like, I don't know, one of the best comedians in the world, right? Like Dave Chappelle, right? Dave Chappelle is a headliner, right? Okay, but Dave Chappelle can't be there right now, right? He'll be there next month, but he can't be there right now. So instead of Dave Chappelle, you might go get Tony Rock or something. You know what I'm saying? Tony Rock, funny. You know what I'm saying? Some people will show up, like Tony Rock, he's a pretty funny guy, but he ain't Dave Chappelle though, right? Like he ain't about to just, they ain't about to sell this thing out, right? That's how I feel when it comes to New Orleans Saints. Like, they are putting a product on the field that is, passable, but it ain't the best that they have to offer. I think the Saints realize where this division is. They feel like, the players that they have, they can make it competitive. But I think that when we're going to start seeing, like, if it doesn't work out, I think you're going to start seeing rebuild. I think you're going to start seeing different players. I think you're going to see some mainstays probably end up like leaving, getting traded, etc. That's how I feel about this team right now. Because, I mean, ain't no way in the world you talking about winning division and you up here trying to get John Ross, who ain't did nothing and I don't know how long. I think John Ross, I don't even think he played in the league like in the last couple of years. I think he was like on somebody practice squad or something like that. Then you getting guys from the XFL, the USFL with Samson Nakua. Like you ain't even getting NFL players, man. You getting guys that you know for a fact that you just gotta pay. You're gonna pay a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit for. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't about to get nobody that's out here of any significance. You ain't trying to spend no money. Like, look at these players that they got across the board. Like, talented players, but man, these guys ain't moving the needle. Like, ain't nobody gonna stay up at night trying to scheme for Cedric Wilson. I mean, no disrespect, but it's the truth. Like, they look at this team like, we'll be all right. And that's the reason why, the onlookers, those talking heads, they don't have the Saints doing anything. Because on paper, and in some cases in real life, the Saints are a boring football team. Think about it. If your heart and soul wasn't into this football team, would you be here right now? Would you be talking about this team? Like, they're not exciting. There's nothing about other than the fact that you love this football team is the only reason why you're around. But there's nothing exciting about this football team. From when you think about storyline standpoint. I mean, I guess if you're into like coaches getting fired, I guess that would be appealing, but they're not an exciting football team. Like, nothing really popping off. And that's the reason why I think a lot of onlookers and a lot of talking heads are picking against the Saints. Yeah, and I think that, and honestly, I think that's one of the biggest issues that we have with this team too. I think that the fact that they're not exciting makes us not excited about the team. Like at least when winning, you knew that Sean Payton, he had a little swag with him. Drew Brees, he had a little confidence with him. The defense seemed like they had confidence, but attitude reflects leadership, and honestly, team reflects their head coach. And I think that's the reason why the New Orleans Saints look the way that they do. Like, are they talented? Yes, but they're boring. Like nobody's going into 2024 feeling like the New Orleans Saints about to drop 40 on somebody, right? Everybody just feels like the Saints gonna just do just enough in order for them to win a football game. Because at the end of the day, nobody really remembers the score of games, right? The only thing that matters is wins and losses. So they're not an exciting football team. And until they actually are, I feel like that's when everybody's going to be, buying into them. But I don't think that that's going to happen until they actually start generating some levels of success. Let's get back to the depth chart, man. You got your tight end, you got Foster Moreau, you got Juwan Johnson, and they also have Taysom Hill listed as a tight end as well. They also have Dallin Holker, who is dealing with an injury. I expect big things out of Dallin Holker. I think the Saints do as well. Juwan Johnson, this has got to be the year that he steps up and be that tight end that he needs to be. I think that he has talent. I think that he has really good ability, but sometimes I feel like he gets lost out there sometimes. I don't know if it was just the fact that the plays weren't called for him. I think that maybe in this new offense, he'll be able to do some things. He has some games where he stood out. One of the games in particular was that Tampa Bay game, the second time the Saints played him. But, I mean, I expect for him to step up. I mean, he's been dealing with an injury. He came back for the last game of preseason. The only thing we remember is that drop pass, but I just think he was rusty. But I want to see him go out there, and I want him to make a name for himself. And, I kind of thought that he was going to step up because I want to say it was back in 2022, man. He started the season off on a very high note. He caught touchdowns in the first two games. Seemed like, Jameis was going to him constantly, and I thought that he was going to, break out that year. But then, of course, we all know that what happened. Andy Dalton came into the game, and, the Saints kind of went back to that same type of style where they don't really pay that much attention to the tight end. So hopefully they put emphasis on the tight end because they're going to need them. They're going to need the tight ends to be able to step up in a passing game because, like I said, you're very top-heavy at the wide receiver position. So I want to see these guys step up. Foster Moreau, I think that he's a really good blocking tight end. I think that he's going to be utilized in a running game. And I think that this tight end room is going to be a little bit more active than they have in years past. Then we move on to the offensive line, the topic of conversation. So we got Tallahassee Fuaga as your left tackle, Lucas Patrick as your left guard. You got Eric McCoy as your center. Right guard is Cesar Ruiz, and right tackle is Trevor Penning. So we all know, I don't want to bore everybody with the things they already know. This offensive line has a lot of question marks. This offensive line isn't one of the best in the league, but I think the offense that they run is going to be able to kind of, put cologne on this musty body here. I think that Trevor Penning, he has to be able to step up. He did some good things in the preseason. He did some not so good things in the preseason. I think that it's shame on the New Orleans Saints that they have not addressed this offensive line position the way that it should be. I don't know why, especially when you know that you have a quarterback who has happy feet, who will check it down, who will not wait, because, he gets a little antsy, especially when that clock starts to speed up in his head. So you would think that they would try to put a more formidable offensive line around him to protect him. I'm very concerned at pass protection. The fact that Derek Carr has had some injuries, with this offensive line blocking for him in years past. That's the reason why I guess the backup quarterback position is so important. but I'm not going to keep on beating up on Trevor Penny, man. I mean, it is what it is at this point. I mean, talking about this guy and what he can't do is not going to help this team right now. He's your guy. And, everybody felt, that they needed to go in a different direction. The Saints said nobody can beat them out. So this is your guy. So you're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to find ways to try to, help him out, especially when he's going up against elite pass rushers. You got Jadeveon Clowney, who had 9.5 sacks. He's going up against him this week in Carolina. Then you got Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence the next week. I mean, it can get dangerous. It can get ugly out there. So hopefully they can come up with a plan. As far as Lucas Patrick, not the best guard in the world, but he has had several starts. He started last year for the Chicago Bears. He's a leader. I like his mindset. He's a guy that tries really hard. He's a physical guy. And, I think that he'll play with a level of intensity. I was on 103.7 ESPN earlier. Make sure y'all check that out. I'll make sure I put that link there. So if y'all want to check out that interview, shouts out to my guy D-Lo out there, on in the afternoons. But I was talking about Tallahassee Fuaga, and he was saying, like, is he ready for this moment? Because he never played left tackle ever. But, I think that Tallahassee is going to go through the motions. I'm not going to beat up on him. I'm not going to be sitting up here watching every time the dude get beat. I think that he's a rookie, and he's playing a position that he never played. So we have to take that into consideration. But I don't think that the lights are going to be too bright for him. I don't think that he is going to shy away from the moment. I'm very excited about this guy. I think that he can be a cornerstone player. He plays with a mean streak. He plays with a level of confidence that you don't really see rookies play. He feels like he belongs there. And my favorite thing about offensive line, we don't really talk about them that much. We don't. Like, I don't really hear too many people talking about it. And, that's the best. That's when your offensive line is doing their job, when nobody's talking about it. So I like him. I think what you have in Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy is a top 5 center in this league. Cesar Ruiz, I don't think he's that good. I think he's about average. But I think he's been right there with Eric McCoy. I think that they have a really good chemistry there. He's one of the leaders on the offensive line now. So that's your offensive line, man. You got to roll with it. You didn't do anything to try to address it, besides the fact of drafting Tallahassee. You got Lucas Patrick, from the Bears, but he was a guy that kind of struggled a little bit. But this is what happens, man, when you kick the can down the road and you don't address the obvious situations. You think that you still have a chance to win. And I just think that the Saints kind of really set themselves back by, number one, not going after a quarterback for the future, and number two, not really addressing this offensive line the way that it did. It's like they just thought that everything was just going to stay the same. And I understand that you talk about continuity and, the fact that you want to keep things together. And I think that will pay dividends when you have guys with chemistry. But you also need some young, talented playmakers as well that can make the job easier for these playmakers to make plays. Moving on, we move on to the defensive side of football. It has Carl Granderson or Chase Young. Then you have Colin Saunders, Nate Shepard, Brian Brzee, which I thought was a shock. Then you got John Ridgway out there. And then you at the left defensive end position, you have Cameron Jordan as a starter and Peyton Turner. Look, I mean, no disrespect whatsoever when I say this. I think that Cam Jordan is one of the greatest New Orleans Saints players of all time. I think that he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's a guy that is well respected. But if I got opportunity to start Carl Granderson on one side and Chase Young on the other, I'm taking that. And, I think that, Cam Jordan should be that guy that lines up in the middle, being that defensive tackle. Right now, I think the Saints need that speed. Now, I know that Cam Jordan, a lot of the issues that happened last season, the reason why his production was so low was the fact that he was dealing with an injury and he was not 100%. But I just think that you have these young bulls out here. You have Carl Granderson, who had 8.5 sacks, Chase Young, who's playing with empty pockets, that 1 year, $13 million contract. He had 7.5 sacks last season between both Commanders and 49ers when he played the entire season. He played an entire season for the first time, I want to say, since his rookie year, maybe. But all in all, you gotta this cannot be a popularity contest. And I feel like the New Orleans Saints, the reason why they fall short is not because they don't have the talent. It's because they're not making the right decisions. They're going with the guys that, they're trying to make this thing work instead of going with the guys that can make it work. I think that Chase Young at this stage of his career is better than Cam Jordan. I do. I think that Carl Granderson is your guy. He is your succession plan to Cam Jordan. So you got to let these dudes work, man. And then you got to get Brian Brzee out there. To me, this depth chart on the defensive line is looking like a popularity contest. They're looking at the contracts. They're looking at the money that they spent on these players. If I'm looking at the interior, why wouldn't Brian Brzee be my starter? This guy had 4.5 sacks from a backup position. And I understand that he kind of, struggles a little bit in the run game, but which one of those defensive tackles didn't, right? I mean, Cullen Sanders kind of struggled a little bit, even though he's not playing. And Nate Shepard, he played formidable, but even he had his struggles. So to me, I think that Brian Brzee is your young up and coming interior lineman, and you got to use him as such. But I don't know, man. Like you can't play the popularity contest if you're trying to win football games. You can't be trying to preserve people's feelings if you're trying to win football games. Cam Jordan know what's up, man. He know what type of league this is, man. And he sees those young guys coming through. And I just think that if the New Orleans Saints don't utilize this opportunity to be able to use Chase Young and Granderson on the field at the same time, I think they're going to be selling their defense short. You can't look at Cam Jordan and say, oh, man, he's been a soldier for a very long time. I think you got to take a look at some of these other guys, like slide Cam into the inside. That's what we love about Cam. He's a team player. He's willing to do things and go into uncharted waters for the betterment of the team. So because he's doing that, I think you need to do what you need to do in order to make this team be effective. The Saints had the 28 ranked, I think we were 28 ranked when it comes to the pass rush last season, only 34 sacks. And you got two guys right here that's capable of giving you double-digit sacks if you're brave enough and you're willing to put them on the field at the same time. You can have a Freeney Mathis thing type thing going, where you have both sides attacking a quarterback. So I think the Saints need to take advantage of that opportunity. Then we move on to the linebackers. You got the Will, which is Pete Warner. You got the middle, the Mike, the Mario Davis, and then you got the Sam, which is Willie Gay. And then you also have Anthony Orji, who is playing the Sam linebacker as a backup. DeMarco Jackson, who is the Mike as a backup. And also, man, as a Will, you have Anthony Orji. So Anthony Orji, the Saints are really high on him if they have him as a backup at both of those positions. So I like Anthony Orji. I think he stepped up. I think that he took advantage of the opportunities. He played most of the preseason snaps out there, and I think that he gained experience because of it. We know he's a smart player. He went to Vanderbilt. So I think that, you have a little something there, and I think the Saints feel like they do. Willie Gay, who had some injuries earlier this week, he was back at practice today, so that's a good sign, to have Willie Gay out there. I think that the Saints are going to be relying on him to be able to neutralize some of these quarterbacks that can scramble, and also, some of these running backs that are, kind of twitchy, catch the ball out of backfield. You got some talented running backs in the South that you're going to have to go up against. So Willie Gay's services is definitely going to be needed. I like the linebacker room. I think that this is one of the strengths. I understand that these guys don't have the name, and when we don't recognize the guy's name, or we don't recognize their background or the school that they went to, or how the school was productive, we have a tendency of believing that those guys aren't good enough. But I think that the Saints are doing a good job. Like, this is how you're going to get yourself out of this situation, and this is how you're going to become a contender for years to come. You got to rely on some of these young players, develop them in your system, and believe in your system. And if those players end up coming out looking well in your system, then guess what? You can start drafting other players and kind of building that up. I think that's the reason why you see continuous success from teams like the Packers, continuous success from teams like the Ravens, because they're not looking at the free agent market. Like, they're looking at their draft process. They're looking at the scouting department. They're bringing in guys to make plays. There's a reason why when the Baltimore Ravens have preseason, when they cut players, those players end up becoming starters or integral parts of teams, of teams' success. Like when they get picked up. Like I think about Will Lutz. Like Will Lutz was a kicker for the Ravens. And, they had Justin Tucker, so he ended up going to the Saints. And like him or not, Will Lutz was pretty solid for the New Orleans Saints. So to me, I think that the process that's what generates success, continual success. Like anybody can build a team and, make them formidable for one season. But, and I understand it's a win now league, but if you want to have continuous success and you want a fan base to continue to believe in a team, you got to build through the draft and you got to make the right decisions when you're evaluating this talent. Then you move on to the cornerbacks. You got Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor, who's playing your nickel. You got Marshawn Lattimore, and you got Kool-Aid McKinstry. At safety, you got Tyrann Mathieu, Will Harris. Then you got Jordan Howden and JT Gray, who is mostly a special teams guy. And then, you also have Rico Payton out there, part of your cornerback room too, the young man who had a really good, solid preseason. So to me, the Saints have the best secondary in the South. They got the best secondary in the NFL. I think that you're not going to find too many teams that their backup cornerbacks can be starters on a team. Not just the Saints team, but probably some of the teams that need cornerback help right now. Like you're not going to tell me that Kool-Aid McKinstry can't be a starter on half of the NFL's teams right now, defense. Like you're not going to tell me that Alontae Taylor couldn't be a starter on somebody's team, right? You can't tell me that, right? I think that, this team is deep and they have like really good depth at the cornerback position. And it's very important because we know that this is a pass-happy league. They like to throw the football a lot. So the more playmakers that you have, the more cornerbacks that you have, the more you have a chance to set yourself up for success. Like we've seen Marshawn Lattimore go down the last couple of years. Last year was Isaac Yiadom. I mean, Isaac Yiadom played really well, so good that he got himself a contract in San Francisco. So to me, these guys got to be able to step up, and they have. We can look at the safety position. People are talking about Jordan Howden, but he's your safety right now. I don't think that the New Orleans Saints are that satisfied with the production, but I don't think that he's just going to be that terrible. I think that Jordan Howden has some really good qualities. I think that he's a really solid tackler. I think sometimes he gets in his head. He gets a little bit confused at times. But I just think that he needs to trust himself. I think the biggest battle that Jordan Howden deals with is his trust in himself. I think he thinks too hard about making the right decision. I think he just needs to play free. But I think that those veterans that are in the secondary are going to wrap their arms around him and tell him to play loose, and try to build up his confidence. So I expect big things out of the Saints secondary. I think that this is a really, really solid group. And then you move on. You got the special teams players out there. You got Blake Groupie, and they haven't. I don't see anybody else on the depth chart for the punter. Okay, here we go. Matthew Hayball. Then you got Zach Woods as your long snapper, and then you have Rashid Shaheed and Mason Tipton as your special teams guys.
I want to get some Ethan Michael.
I got you, man. All right. So anyway, shouts out to my boy. I'll be there in a second, okay, pal? But anyway, you look at the special teams. Oh man, it would be a State of Safe podcast if the packing man didn't follow through, asking me for macaroni. Let's see. No problem, Patrick. And my dog giving a shout out to Pat. Yeah, it wouldn't be no show if y'all ain't see my son. But anyway, man, that's your roster right there. I don't expect Rashid Shaheed to be returning too many kicks and punts. The Saints look at him as too much of a valuable asset on the offensive side of football. So that's honestly the reason why I feel like you tried to get in Wangwu in here. And that's the reason I feel like Mason Tipton is still around. So they're trying to, maybe get one of those guys to be able to return some kicks and some punts. So That's your roster right there, man. Let me read a few more of these comments, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. Then I open up the phone line for maybe like one or two people. All right, first two people up in here, those are the ones that we'll allow to speak. Last time I checked, since Dennis Allen been with the Saints, you guys been a premier defense. Yeah, I mean, look, the defense has always looked good under Dennis Allen. You know, that's one thing that people can say. And one thing that Saints fans can't dispute, like this guy always has the defense looking like something. You know, I have a lot of respect for him as a defensive coordinator, as a defensive-minded coach. As a head coach, he leaves a lot to be desired, but he is the head coach of the Saints. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I don't think the New Orleans Saints care about what the fans really think about some of the decisions that they're making. And when you have like some of the people in those positions that can't be moved, why should they care? I guess, right? But all in all, you know, I think as long as this guy continues to have a really good defense, the Saints are going to probably continue to try to make this dude work. If the New Orleans Saints go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, they bringing them back. If the Saints go 10-7 and make the playoffs, he's definitely coming back. If the Saints win the division, then he's coming back. If it's a do or die situation, and let's just say it's week 18 and the Saints are playing against one of these other teams in the South, you know, and whoever wins, like makes the playoffs and the Saints lose, Dennis Allen coming back. Like that's how much respect I feel like they have for this dude. I feel like after everything that you've seen, if he can't get levels of success or generate levels of success, if they can't win a division, I don't know what more you need to see. I don't know what you need to see. I think that signs are kind of indicating that if the season goes into left field, the Saints are kind of preparing for it. It don't seem, like I said, it seems like the New Orleans Saints, it's like a person that's trying to buy the house, right? It's like when you try to purchase a house, right? What they do is they tell you, you know, don't make no type of extravagant expenses, you know, because you don't want to mess up your credit. You know, don't be trying to apply for nothing. You want your, you know what I'm saying, you want your score to look just as good as it was when you came up in here, right? So they tell you don't make any extravagant expenses, right? Until it gets finalized, right? Until the process takes place, like till it get processed, right? Till it get finalized. Then all of a sudden, like, you know, that's how I feel like with the New Orleans Saints. It's like they're waiting, right? They're trying to see if this is worth investing in, if this is worth their time. That's the reason why I feel like they're going out here getting XFL players and trying to find players that, you know, kind of fit a scheme that can do certain things. I think that next season, I think the New Orleans Saints are going to go in a completely different direction. I think they're going to be more aggressive than they have been this offseason. I think the Saints are just trying to put a product on the field that's formidable enough to kind of satisfy us and make themselves competitive in the process. But I don't think I think the Saints understand that they're a solid football team. I think the Saints understand that they need to, you know, keep these little bit of food and these ingredients together, you know what I'm saying, until my check come through. You know, I think that's what they own right now. You know, I know I ain't the only person that grew up, you know, with an empty refrigerator leading up to the food stamp time. You know, y'all know how I go, right? You know, you got to say you can't eat too much now. You know what I'm saying? Just enough. You know what I'm saying? To satisfy yourself, because we need this. You know what I'm saying? To the next time. Next time that food stamp comes through, man. So that's what they're trying to do, man. They just trying to, you know, man, they're just trying to keep this thing afloat right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we gonna keep the rice and the butter on deck, right? We're gonna eat this for a little while. We got some beanie weenies up in that thing. You know what I'm saying? We got some chopped up these franks. You know, I mean, the food stamp time just around the corner. Yes, folks, that's where I came from. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm blessed to be here right now, right? You know, we talk about those times because they made us who we are. But all in all, that's what the New Orleans Saints are doing, right? Let me open up the phone line for all those in the chat right now. Like I said, I'm gonna take about two people, man. Then we're gonna go ahead and end the show. But the question of the day was, can Derek Carr win over the Who Dat Nation? All right. So do you think he can win over the Who Dat Nation for those that just tuned in? Also, man, while we're waiting, I'm very excited, man, because this weekend we'll be at the Little Easy Restaurant. I'll be doing the State of the Saints podcast live, Saints versus Panthers. 634 Julia Street in New Orleans. The Little Easy Restaurant will kick off around 10 or 10:30. And then after the show, then we'll go to the game, watch the game, come back and do the post-game show after it's all said and done. So shouts out to the Little Easy Restaurant for, allowing us to do the State of Saints podcast here. There at their restaurant. And I'm looking forward to it, man. So if you're not doing anything, come on over to the Little Easy Restaurant, 634 Julia Street. Get yourself something to eat and drink. I like to, meet and greet some of you fine folks that make the show what it is. And hopefully the New Orleans Saints can handle business where, you won't be drinking your sorrows away when the game is all said and done. We're going to go ahead and go to Mr. Barnes. Mr. Barnes, how you doing?
TJ, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. Thank you for chiming in. What you got for us, man?
Yeah, man. What was the question about Derek Carr if he can win us back, basically, right?
Yeah. Can he win over the Who Dat Nation, man? Can he change the perspective, or change the minds of the Who Dat Nation and what they feel about him?
To be honest, I think he can. It just depends on this season. We're not talking about the last season. I know the other season we had Andy Dalton. So I just think we're tired of the mediocre quarterback play, to be honest, bro. So I think that Derek Carr can win his team back. He can win the fan base back. It just takes plays. It takes touchdowns, and it also takes winning games. You know what I mean? It's hardest position is honestly being a quarterback, cornerback and quarterback. You know what I mean? That's why I think my two hardest positions in football. But I think with this season, with Clint Kubiak being the offensive coordinator, we finally got something fresh. We finally got something new in the building.
Right.
Let's go ahead and switch up this offense. You know what I mean, and get to it. So I think he can win us back. It just takes winning games and making plays.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in some ways, I think a lot of Saints fans are really upset at the fact that they had this idea about who Derek Carr was, and he hasn't lived up to it yet. But I also feel like you have Saints fans out here that are comparing this dude to Drew Brees, because the reality is you have a strong percentage of Saints fans that don't remember anything other than Drew Brees. Like, and even if they were born before Drew Brees got to New Orleans, they were too young to remember any of the other quarterbacks that the Saints had.
Right.
So all they know for the most part from the quarterback position is prosperity. So it's kind of like a shock to your system, man, when you go from having a quarterback that can play at such a high level, you go from that to a guy that makes mistakes. Like Drew Brees made mistakes, but he didn't make mistakes very often. And he didn't. So there was more good than bad. But when you have quarterbacks where, in some cases, we haven't seen this quarterback and Drew Brees make these type of mistakes or put this ball in this certain area because this might happen. Right. It's kind of a shock to their system. So I just feel like some people are kind of holding this guy to a certain standard. And, you're the quarterback of an NFL team. That just comes with the territory. But I think a lot of people don't really know how to evaluate the quarterback position because all they have to compare Derek Carr to is Drew Brees.
Right. And honestly, man, I went back and I watched some film on Derek Carr. I watched a couple games last year. And to be honest, he's not a bad quarterback, man. He's really not a bad quarterback. He can win this division. I can tell you that much. He can win this division. I don't know about beating the Cowboys. I don't know about beating the Chiefs. I don't know about, all the other games where they got high octane offenses, but I know that he can win this division. This division is weak, to be honest. You know what I mean? And I think he can be the best quarterback in this division. It just takes, offensive play calling. It takes, executing and things that we didn't see. You know what I mean? I think that's what the Who Dat Nation is really, focused on. We didn't see none of that with Andy Dalton. We didn't see none of that with Trevor Siemian. We didn't see, none of that with Jameis. Like a little bit with Jameis, but we haven't really seen this offense open up yet. You know what I mean? So, So that's why I think You know, he can win. He can win. He already got me back. You know, this is my team. This is my quarterback. I gotta live and die with him. You know what I mean? So It is what it is.
Yeah. Like I hope that you know, he can have a solid season, but I think that this new offense will be able to help him out a little bit because you're not really dependent on him to just carry the load like I think the Saints wanted him to do originally when they had that West Coast offense that they had last year. But Mr. Barnes, I want to say thank you, man. I appreciate the call and call back anytime, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, you know, he is who he is. And I think that the Saints have an understanding of who he is as a quarterback. And now that you know, I think you should adjust accordingly. Like, don't put too much on his plate. Incorporate and also, you know, have a running game to accompany him. And, you know, hopefully you have some playmakers that are around him that can make some plays to make his life easier. And if you do that, then I think that the Saints can win some games and be in some games that they shouldn't be in. We're going to go ahead and move on to Jerry. Jerry, how you doing, man?
What's going on, TJ?
Hey, what's going on, Jerry, man? Appreciate you calling in.
No problem. You already know what I'm going to go with this, bro.
Oh, man.
you know that funny feeling you're going to get when I call in.
Yeah, I already know, man.
Yep.
Hey,
I did see the NFC South Roundtable last night, and Lord have mercy, Who Dat Nation. If you think Falcon fans are delusional and so salty, geez, man. My God, they can't keep their mouth shut, TJ. They can't, bro.
They want you to just basically concede and say they the best. That's what they want you to do.
Yes, dude. I am so glad you went over there and represent the Saints over there because they are in their feelings, TJ. I saw it in the chat. They were foaming at the mouth, bro.
Man, it was like, man, TJ, he ready to hate.
Oh, TJ, man, you a hater. You a hater. So, you know what? He is. And so am I.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Jerry. Here's the thing. Hating on what? Like, what are we hating on? Like, what? Like, honestly, let's keep this thing above. What have the Falcons done in a decade that has anybody hating? Like, seriously. The last time we actually seen them like in a postseason play, what they lost to the Rams in the playoffs or something. After that, they got embarrassed in a Super Bowl and hasn't done anything since. Like my thing is like hating on what? Like there's nothing. Like honestly, I promise you, as God is my witness, if I didn't do the NFC South Roundtable, I would not be talking about the Falcons because they ain't nothing really to talk about. They do this every single year, Jerry. They do it every single year, bro. They come out these trees. They create these X and social media.
They come out the cave and stuff.
Right. Man, we got this. We got that. Y'all ain't got this. Y'all ain't got that. It's a new era. We got a new this. Like all this stuff. And then around week 3, week 4, They looking suspect as hell, and then all of a sudden, like you don't hear from them no more. Bruh, the Falcon fans, like I mean this from the bottom of my heart. They are some of the fakest, phoniest fans I have ever seen in my entire life.
TJ. Yes,
they are fake and phony. Like the only reason why they going that Saints fans' neck is because popular opinion right now is that the Saints are going to fall under, and they want us to feel that way. But guess what? I don't care if the Saints go 2-6 in the first 8 games. I don't care if they go 2-8 in the next 10. Guess what? I'm gonna be doing this show. I'm still gonna be saying who that. My love for the Saints ain't just conditional. And that's what I feel about these Falcon fans. They grandstanders, they hot dogs. Half of them don't even know about their own team. I'm up there eviscerating them about their own team, man. And they so delusional too, Jerry. They're so delusional because they really feel like they got the best secondary in the game because they top heavy. What happens if AJ Terrell goes down? What happens if Justin Simmons goes down? What happens if Jesse Bates has to miss a game? Guess what? There's a huge drop off. But if Marshawn Lattimore miss a game, guess what? Kool-Aid McKinstry right there. Paulson Adebo and miss a game. You know what I'm saying? You got Rico Payton right there that shows that he can do something. This is their logic, man. They don't know how to talk football, and it's annoying as hell, man. But hey, I'm right here, and I got all the smoke for them. Like I said, they're a bunch of grandstanders, man. Every single year they do the same thing.
Bruh, TJ, I see it every year. And I keep asking this question. How many Super Bowls did the Atlanta Falcons won? I only put it. All I know is, TJ, I put up a goose egg.
Nothing.
That's how many won. That's how many they won. And they're talking about all the reason y'all won because they could treat. Look, you can hate all you want, Falcon fans. As long as the New Orleans Saints are in this NFC South, you're going to continue to get bullied by the New Orleans Saints. And they're going to make sure that they are not going to let y'all get into the playoffs or win another Super Bowl as long as we keep bullying you, because we're your daddy. You are sons. You are sons. Admit that. You're gonna witness it every day, because I'm gonna be continue to blast y'all until the season is over, and I'm gonna continue to blast y'all during the off season. Now deal with that, Falcon fans.
Man, look, I don't care if the Saints end up losing the game against Carolina and the Falcons beat the Steelers. I'm still going to be talking noise, because here's the reality, man. They're not as good as people making them out to be, man. Like, it's amazing to me. Think about this. I want people to really understand this. Everybody talks about Dennis Allen and his losing record coming to the Saints. Don't they know that Raheem Morris has a losing record? They talk about Derek Carr and his inability to be able to lead a team to the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. Do they understand that Kirk Cousins ain't did nothing, has had some of the best offensive weaponry? Should I name them off? He had Adam Thielen. He had Stephon Diggs. He had Justin Jefferson. He had Jordan Addison. You know what I mean? He had TJ Hawkinson. He had Kyle Rudolph. He had Dalvin Cook. You know, like, come on, man. Like, and you had a defense that was formidable with guys that were getting double-digit sacks like Danielle Hunter, and you still couldn't get the job done. And yet they're going to sit up here and try to sell this to me as if, you know, like Kirk Cousins is Tom Brady or something. Like, man, miss me with that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Just straight up delusion. Names mean nothing, bro. When you have to play in between the lines. We got Justin Simmons. So? And? I mean, Tampa Bay had Tom Brady. Yeah, they went to the Super Bowl, but how many times Tom Brady beat the New Orleans Saints? He beat them when, you know what I'm saying, when it mattered most. But they made him look about as pedestrian as somebody walking across the street. But yet I'm supposed to be afraid because they got, you know what I'm saying, because they got some names. Like, man, miss me with that, man.
Yeah, exactly, TJ. Look,
like, miss me with that. No,
but that led was look, and shout out to my guy Big Q and Sway when they said this best. Thank God every day I'm not a Falcon.
Man,
thank God, because man, Jesus Christ.
What a joke. Like, seriously, what a joke.
All I can say is, TJ, rise up to fall down.
Man,
rise up to fall down.
Man, them boys need to think
what they need to go do this year.
Jerry, they need to thank the good Lord in heaven that the New Orleans Saints exist, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have an idea to save their life. All they do basically, to me, all they do is basically steal ideas from the New Orleans Saints. The way that they structured in their cap right now, they stole from the Saints. The players that they bragging on, they stole from the Saints. The fact that they went out and got Justin Simmons after the Saints brought him in, they got from the Saints. You got David Onyemata, who they bragging about, came from the Saints. They best linebacker, Caden Ellis, came from the Saints. The general manager that they had came from the Saints. All they do is steal from the Saints, and they got the nerve to sit up here and tell me. They're trying to be us so bad, bro. They got the nerve to tell me, man, we better than y'all. Like, it sounds like to me, like y'all fighting. No real true ideas. No, like even Nathan Peterman over there right now. They went out there and got what? Monte Rice, the dude that was on, you know what I'm saying? The dude that was on the bubble. They went sign him. All they do is bite from New Orleans Saints, and they got the nerve to feel like the Saints fans like looking at them, hating on them. Like y'all team wouldn't have an idea.
Bro, look.
I ain't even talk about Ryan Nielsen being their defensive coordinator last year. All they do is bite from the New Orleans Saints, and they got the nerve, the audacity, the mitigated gall to sit up here and talk to us and tell us that we hating on them. If the Saints close up shops tomorrow, y'all whole team will go under. Know why? Because y'all ain't got no more ideas to steal.
Exactly.
And then they steal ideas and think that they got the advantage and still got to go out there and get dog walked. 48-17.
TJ,
come on, man.
I'm sure you remember this, and everybody in the chat remember this. Remember the Atlanta Rams? Remember that? Atlanta Falcons colors on Los Angeles Rams logo because we got cheated out to go to the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and they lost. See, that's something that, TJ, that's something the New Orleans Saints will never, ever do as long as we're in the National Football League. Put our black and gold colors on another team because that team got cheated out not going to the Super Bowl. That's something that we never, ever do. Man, I appreciate Falcon fans because I promise you, man, I ain't never been this popular across social media, man. I ain't never been this popular. Like, you got Atlanta Falcon podcasters, like, starting off their show. Look what this TJ Jones dude did. Man, Saint fans, they delusional. Oh, man, y'all delusional. Like, have y'all 100? Well, that's what happens, man, when you've been living in a bomb shelter for the last almost 10 years. Exactly. You have a tendency of not really realizing what the real world is. This is planet delusion right now. How delusional are you? You're a team that hasn't done anything for over almost a decade. And then you're going to come out here and beat on your chest. And this is my favorite right here. This is my favorite quote from a Falcon fan. We not the same. Bear with me. When Michael Smith was their head coach, he got fired. And then they hired Dan Quinn. Man, these ain't the Mike Smith Atlanta Falcons. This ain't the Mike Smith. Then all of a sudden, Dan Quinn, he ends up getting fired. And then they hire Arthur Smith. Man, these ain't the same. This ain't the same Dan Quinn Atlanta Falcons. then they fire Arthur Smith. Well, we didn't Arthur Smith Falcons. We a different team. That's like I said, man. Eventually they're gonna be right though. I don't know. It might be this year. TJ, exactly. And we've been saying this every year. That's how pathetic and pitiful and delusional these Falcon fans really are. I find it funny when you talking about us blowing leads. You talking about the Saints blowing leads. Y'all the one that started it, man. May I remind you, a 25-point lead blown in the Super Bowl, man. When you had the chance, it was right there in the palm of your hands. All you had to do was keep scoring. What happened? You let Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady, when he was with the New England Patriots, come back and beat y'all in overtime. That's the man. DJ, I'm telling you, Falcon fans in the first half was like, "Oh, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. We got this on lock." But when the second half came, it all changed. And oh. Man, I already told you, Jared. I went to the game. A couple of years ago when the Saints played the Falcons, and I was sitting in the crowd, man, and I'm telling you, I was sitting on the same row as this one kid. He was young, man, and he just sitting up there. You remember, like the Saints were like down 18. No, and at halftime it looked like if the lead was like pretty insurmountable. So he was like, "Man, now what? I was like, I said to him, "This game ain't over." He was like, "Yeah, right." So he was sitting there with me, right? Fourth quarter, he was still sitting right next to me. Yeah. When Jameis Winston threw that first touchdown to Michael Thomas, he slid back one seat. Then the Saints had a stop, and then they drove back down the field, and Michael Thomas scored another touchdown. He slid back another seat. Now, and then all of a sudden, when the Saints got the ball back and they kicked that field goal, he was at the top row. He was at the row, like, when you stand up and then you can maybe to exit out of where your area is, right? When Peyton Turner blocked that kick, homeboy was gone. I said, man, brother, I couldn't find you, man. He was like, this is what he told me. My hand to God. This is what this dude told me. He said, man, I ain't really no Falcon fan. I'm a Patriot fan. That's what he said to me. That's what he said to me, man. And that's why they could just drift off. I'm telling you, man. That's why they could drift off, because they are not like some of them. Some of them are
Like they do pledge allegiance to the Falcon, right? They do. But you got a strong online presence of Falcon fans out there that are not real. And that's why I just find it funny. Right now, they feel like they got a competitive advantage because they got a team full of names. And I'm telling you, names do not matter. They do not matter when it comes to the game, man. It does not matter. Well, all that matters is what goes on between those white lines. And if they just think that they just gonna mud walk, gonna dog walk the New Orleans Saints because, you know, you got Nick Wright saying something, or Colin Cowherd saying something.
Nick wrong.
Like, or some Saints fans that you friends with and say, well, you know, I don't think my team gonna do something. We got y'all, man. Let me go tell TJ Jones this. Who cares, man? Who cares? Because guess what, man? The Atlanta Falcons are 25-11 overall over the last, since 2006 against the New Orleans Saints. I want to say 31-19 since 2000. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, the New Orleans Saints been dog walking them boys for I don't know how long. But they sitting up there like nodding their head, Jared.
That's don't lie, baby.
Like they sitting up there with so much confidence, like they just got it all in the bag, man. Yeah, I'm telling y'all right now. I already see you got Kyle Pitts out there with a hamstring injury right now. Mm-hmm. That's I'm telling you, that team is top heavy. You got some guys with some names, but I'm telling you, if something happened to them dudes, we don't see.
Hey, and you know something, TJ, and I'm gonna get ready to get out of here after this. You know, we talk about the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's the Saints' second home. You know that, right? We look like Big Q said it best. We New Orleans West, and that's New Orleans East over there. That's exactly because, dude, the only time when you see the Mercedes-Benz Stadium be packed is when they have a college game over there. But when the Falcons play, it's a totally different story.
Oh, they
for example, you got Pittsburgh Steelers coming in town. You're gonna see a lot of Steeler fans waving their terrible towels up in the air, blasting them Falcon fans. I'm telling you, they come in full force. I just want the Pittsburgh Steelers to just go over there to Atlanta on Sunday and just beat them down to the ground.
Now, I will say this. I don't think they're going to get beat down to the ground, but I just hope that Atlanta got a lead. And I just hope that Russ in the fourth quarter. I'm telling my man, it's going to be chef kiss, bro. Like, seriously. I just hope it happened that way, man.
I hope so, too.
Bro, even if they're in a dog fight, I'm telling you right now, like, I'm telling you, they're going to get a rude awakening that their team is not as good as they make it out to be. They're going to realize that, man. It's gonna come. Like I'm telling you, they think they think that they about to run away with this division, man. It is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Like that you have a coach of Raheem Morris who ain't did nothing as a head coach. You know, he had 10-6 season, but after that, like he ain't did nothing. He got to eat 17 games below 500. But all of a sudden, he's supposed to come to the Falcons and Kirk Cousins, who had all that talent around him. He just gonna make them some Super Bowl champions, man. Knock it off.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But Derek, thank you, man. I appreciate the call, man.
You're welcome. I know the topic from the show earlier is about can Derek Carr win over the Who Dat Nation. I said that's gonna be determined right now, but I know that's the main topic right there. But I had to come in so I could blast these Falcon fans. But I told y'all in the chat, I'm coming in with some heat. And TJ gonna ride along with me.
Man, I already told you, man. If y'all want to hear more, y'all can come over to the NFC South Roundtable, man. I already told y'all. We have a lot of fun over there. We have a good time. You know, we talk noise, but we know what we be talking about over there, man. We have a good time. We talk about the game, and people really just be sitting up there, man. Yeah, TJ, he ready to hate. Like I said, hating on what? Like I call it they want me to pick. Like you want me to honestly. You want me to pick against a guy in Mike Tomlin who is a really good defensive mind, has never had a losing season.
Never.
He has I'm talking about an unbelievable record versus NFC team. Unbelievable record. I had it up there. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yes.
But and this is a AFC North team. Every team in that division had 10, 11 wins last season. But y'all just think all of a sudden like y'all about to like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, what are we doing?
Exactly. And look, and my dad and my brother are Steelers fans, and they told me the exact same thing, TJ.
Man.
The exact same thing. See, that lets you know right there, that is the true definition of a Falcon fan. Always talking all that noise, but when the other team beat them, it's a totally different story.
Yep, absolutely. That, man, at the end of the day, that's not going to be an easy feat. And I just, man, that false sense of reality that they have. I ain't saying like they got offensive weaponry, and yeah, Pittsburgh do have like some issues, but when you look, I trust Mike Tomlin more than I trust Raheem Morris. I can tell you that right now.
And also on that, Arthur Smith coming back to Atlanta, but as an offensive coordinator with the Steelers. So how great would that be?
Right, man. I mean, we're gonna see. But Jerry, man, appreciate it, man. Thank you for the thank you for the call, man.
You're welcome, TJ. You have a blessed one, man. I'll see you Sunday.
All right, man. You take it easy. Yeah, Pammy said, wrap it up, Jerry. Back need his mac and cheese. Yeah, he ain't lying, man. He peeping through the door right now, man. We're gonna make my mac and cheese, but we're gonna go to Coach in Black, all right? We're gonna go to Coach in Black. We're gonna wrap it up. All right, what's going on, man?
Hey, TJ, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it been?
Man, I know, man. It's been a while. How you been?
Getting old.
Yeah, man. It's same way, man. Same way. So what's on your mind, man? What you think about Derek Carr winning over the Who Dat Nation? What you think about, Saints in general?
It's possible because all things considered, like he has been a pretty decent quarterback. I mean, not a top of the line, but run of the mill. Better than Cousins, to that fact.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's better than Kirk Cousins. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say he's better than Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is like the poster boy of average quarterback. Like there's a saying that says, what type of Kirk Cousins are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you a Kirk Cousins on the come up, or you your Kirk Cousins right in the middle, or you like below Kirk Cousins? Or your cousin
light.
Yeah, a cousin like. Exactly. Cousin them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
But I'm sorry, I was still geeking out over Jerry's take.
Oh man, I didn't think he would go that high, man. And I had to follow
you should
suit.
Know
man.
He's coming in with an Ant-Man missile.
Man, he ready. He done nuked the joint.
The only thing make it better. Look. When it comes to like I kind of agree with what they said. Like for the NFC South, while it is a weaker division right now, it used to be stronger. Mm-hmm. That's because I understand. The thing is, as a student of history, I understand. I need the history to go back to understand the context of stuff.
Right.
And as well as the only team, like I've said many times, there's only one team in our division I truly respect. Because they've been in our shoes before. But they found a way to improve, and that's the Buccaneers.
Yeah. Right.
Because 15 straight back-to-backs, like we didn't start winning until like what, late mid 80s, early 90s, when the Dome Patrol on, when Jim Moore came in, like
right.
And they went like 15 straight back-to-back seasons breaking, but they got together in 02, But the carousel that is coaching has fucked them over more times than I can count,
Yeah, I mean, look, the Saints have had a history. The Saints have had a history of like bad coaches, bad teams. I'm not. Look,
hey,
I'm old enough to remember those moments.
This is what what they call the first integration of the Saints.
What's
Mead's
that?
Misfits.
Man,
because the general manager his name was Mead, and we were pretty much just walk on scrubs and just.
Yep.
But basically, our invincible story,
Right.
But our true invincible story was Michael Lewis. Anyways.
Yeah, look, I think that I think about some of those Saints teams that in the years past and what they are now, and it's crazy. But you have, and I mentioned this before, you have Saints fans that don't remember this team being bad. Like
I remember
them is like 7-9, 8-8.
It's been and plus. And none of that, I remember, like, I might not have been old enough to remember, but I still at least remember, like, the Aaron Brooks. I still got a jersey from Blake, and I remember at one point we had Delhomme on our team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry. This is still my. I gotta get okay. I gotta get this out before I forget it.
No, it's
When
okay.
it comes to Falcons fans, first off, you're right. They're absolutely like grandeur delusion. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Because have you seen that? Like, half the damn. You could probably get a ticket to go to the Falcons game for like $5 because it's so empty over there. You know.
Yeah, I mean they sold out this season. I give them that. But here's the thing though, Coach. Here's the thing. I don't have an issue going back and forth with a Falcon fan. I don't. My issue is
civilized, respectful manner.
Not even that. I just like if your team is bad, right? Like I didn't say it a lot, and I'm pretty sure like if the Falcons end up having a good season, I'm gonna be eating a lot of crow. But I'm prepared to do that. I'm not gonna run away. You're gonna have like what I don't respect is the fact that they do this every single year.
Yeah.
They gas themselves up. They tell themselves that they better than the Saints. They're gonna win the South.
Wait, gas themselves up. More like they helium themselves up. They pump themselves full of helium.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like when things don't go their way, you can't find them. I don't respect that. I don't respect it. And like I said, this might be the year that they're right. But
the only Falcons fans I do have respect for is the ones that actually admit they're like, hey, we suck, you know. If they can like Tampa definitely knows that the people who understand the Tampa's history realize, hey, we suck. I'm like, cool, let's talk now. And speaking of division, first before I can continue on, when it comes to like I said, any Falcons argument, they have as much water as a day old biscuit from Popeyes.
Man, these Falcon fans, like I said, man. I mean, I feel like we had wasted way too much time even talking about these kids. We just kind of talk about different things. But all I'm saying is, man, like just stay true to your teams. Just stay loyal, and I wouldn't have no problem with you.
By the way, good news. You got a new subscriber.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man.
Roundtable.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. That's the goal, man. You know, NFC South Roundtable. I take a lot of pride in that channel, and shouts out to Roundtable Network, man, for having me over there.
No problem. Speaking of which, that Jerry did bring up an interesting point when he said that the Saints are the dad. I'm like, okay, so that means Tampa would be the oldest, Carolina would be the middle because they understand, like, hey, we suck. We got plans we got plans in place, you know.
Right.
To make things work for us.
Right.
Falcons are still the youngest and who just discovered puberty. Who just got into puberty and discovered girls.
Yeah, look, I think that they have a lot of promise. I think that, the future is bright in some cases for them. But I did not hear these dudes. I did not hear these ladies. I did not hear these fans when some of these things will happen. Like, you only hear from them when they have a competitive advantage. I don't respect that. Like, right now, everybody's picking the Saints to win 5, 6, even 7 games, right? But I'm still talking about the Saints going to win the division. And they have a chance of winning the division. And I believe that. Because I don't feel like there's a separation because all of a sudden you got some guys with some notoriety and some names. Like, I know that it takes more than that to win football games. You got to be able to come up with the best game plan. You got to be able to come up with the best prep. You got to be able to put your team in the best position to succeed. You got to win a battle of attrition. You got to have all those things. And you got to have a little luck on your side too, because it might not be your Sunday.
And that happens and you better bring your A game between the numbers every freaking week, you know? That's why I said, like I still believe, like, I know you played football back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the coaches always tell us, give 110%, correct?
Right.
I believe that's a lie. You need 210% because the game of football is 30% physical, 80% mental, and 100% heart. But back to your original point with Derek Carr, like I said, I do believe he can bring it around, but especially now because right now we're in like this weird like limbo zone. Like if he doesn't do well, him and possibly Dennis Allen is gone. But thankfully, I have a sneaky suspicion with the addition of Kubiak and the new linebacker, we have enough to course correct this ship, you know.
Yeah.
And not have to worry not have to worry about the dead cat if we actually release him prematurely, you know.
Yeah. Well, Well, Coach, hopefully he can actually fix some of these issues, man. I mean, it's a brand new season, so I'm willing to give Derek Carr a shot, man.
And the thing
I'll
is,
give him a shot. I ain't got no choice.
I'm a little more optimistic now because I know there's a phrase there's a phrase if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the thing is, how much if it's not gonna stay broke, how long is it till you discover there's rust or something that's breaking it from the inside out?
Mm.
And Pete Carmichael was the rust that's kind of holding us back a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, they got Clint Kubiak, and
yep.
I mean, we got this game this Sunday, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
Speak of that, to that point with not only Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, I know they say he had a losing record, but you gotta understand the context. Like, he had a terrible offensive line, offensive coordinator, and defensive coach, and pretty much all the coaching and players sucked, you know.
Right.
And with Minnesota, their problem was like they couldn't keep it. They have a bad they've always had like a rotating bad front office. Even back in the day with the Purple People Eaters, they couldn't, like, if they like had a quarterback that they totally committed on to get him to build around, they probably would have won 1 or 2 Super Bowls by now.
Yeah.
But in this particular case with when I saw in this last preseason, which kind of made me very cautiously optimistic, because for the first time, Dennis Allen had his hands off the game. Allowed his defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator to run the game, and to see where he can improve upon, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think is what he needed to do from Jump Street, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Let your coaches have your hierarchies in place and let it run, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you're probably going to see a little bit more of that this season. But Coach, I got to go ahead and go, man. But I appreciate the call, and don't be a stranger, man. Make sure you call throughout the season.
I'll do my best.
All right, man. Take care.
You too.
All right. Man, shouts out to Coach, man. I ain't seen Coach in so long, man. I'm wondering where the fedora was at, man. What a had it. But anyway, but all in all, man, look, I don't know how this season gonna turn out, man. But I think that the Saints have a really good chance, just as good a chance as any other team in this division, man. I really feel that way. Some people be thinking that I'm trolling. I'm not. You know, y'all know me. If I felt that the Saints had 0 chance, I would say it. I would concede to the Falcons. I would. Like, if I felt like the Falcons were just leaps and bounds better than the Saints, as everybody trying to make them out to be, I would say it. I mean, I don't, you know, I mean, everybody know, like, man, I say a lot of things that some people don't necessarily agree with, but I'm not sitting up here trying to be a troll. Like, that ain't how I built this platform. All right. I mean, I'm gonna make compelling arguments when I'm doing these things. But Hoodie, thank you very much for the 499. Says Kirk in league for 14 years, 1 playoff win, and losing record against winning record teams. Carr in league for 11 now, 0 playoff wins, can tie it this year. Yeah, I mean, look, if you can take the Saints to the postseason, play well, people gonna remember that. You know, people gonna remember that, and you're gonna get a hot side sandwich named after the sandwich or a street or something like that, or a song. Y'all know, man, we take care of our own if you show loyalty to us. If you don't show loyalty, then you already know it's going to be an Anthony Davis type situation where you get booed out the building, right? I mean, Josh Hart made that comment about nobody wanted to come to the New Orleans, and that dude was beloved when Eli left. Everybody was, man, I'm going to miss my guy, man. It was my dog, man. He rolled for the city. Now that boy can't come to the town no more. So, like I said, you show loyalty, they'll show loyalty to you back. You cooked that one clown who thought Atlanta had the best secondary in the division. Look, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. All right? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. And when I put that up there, he tried to come back and say, well, man, people saying, I don't care what people saying. I don't care what people saying. I just proved that your secondary, you know, and the same secondary, you know, it is better than your secondary. You can talk about, what this player did and what he's done in the past, but the reality is, if you look at the metrics, the analytics, the play, Paulson Adebo has better numbers than AJ Terrell. And here's the thing that makes it more impressive. More impressive, I should say. Paulson Adebo gets thrown to at his side more because Marshawn Lattimore is on the opposite side, right? So the fact that he actually had a better number of AJ Terrell, who is not being tested as often as Paulson Adebo is. If you have Marshawn out there on one side, Paulson on the other, most teams throw at Paulson. So the fact is he has sitting here with a 78 grade, and you have AJ Terrell, who barely gets thrown to, is sitting there at like a 74. How is that not impressive? Your first best cornerback isn't even better than the Saints' second best cornerback. The only one that just stats and analytics are off the charts is Jesse Bates. I'll give you that one. I concede to Jesse Bates. Yes, he is the best safety right now. But if you look across the board, I mean, not that much separation. So that's all I'm saying, man. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Plain and simple. Like, I'm not going to argue with you and go back and forth about what you feel, about what you think. You know, I proved what you're saying is inaccurate, and I prove what I'm saying is factual. So there you go. So Atlanta get a Kirk Cousins and they win in the Super Bowl. I guess so. I guess so, man. I don't know. Like I said, man, I spend way too much time on this talking about these boys. You know, y'all can check out the NFC South Roundtable. Hey, man, I was supposed to keep this up on the screen, man. I apologize. All right. Yeah, but anyway, man. Yeah, I spend way too much time talking about these cats, man. Let's see. Super Bowl must mean a big toilet. I say, man, I think that they improved their team? Yes. Do I think they did just gonna steamroll through the South? No, I do not. And yes, I strongly believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to beat them. But y'all know me, man. I try to be as entertaining as possible. So sometimes, like, you know, I do little things to be entertaining, but the way that I feel is behind it. Like, I felt that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to beat the Atlanta Falcons week 1, but I just put a little sauce on it, just hit them where it hurt, because I love being a heel, you know, especially when I'm being a heel towards the Falcons. You know, I love it. I love it, man. And then I'm getting paid to do it now. Oh, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I get paid to flambe Falcon fans all over. Oh my goodness. Where do I sign? You know. But look, man, you'll be insane not to think or look at the fact that this team is improved, man. But I just think that every team you're going to see improvement this season. And I think that it's probably going to be, you know, I think it's going to be much closer than people think. TJ, I come from work and you done got my air back up with these Falcon fans. Football is back. Yeah, man. Look, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that you having a good time, man. You know, I'm sorry. I feel like I took too much of this show up talking about that. Who you think might win tomorrow night? You got to check out the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast for that one. That's gonna come out tomorrow. Go to the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast and you can subscribe to that channel. I'm gonna put a video up on that on tomorrow. Steelers beating Atlanta is not really a hot take. Not really, but I just think that they just got this false sense of reality of what their team is. Like, I think they have a false sense of reality. But the thing about it is, I'm prepared. Like, if they go up in there and they win by 1 point, they're gonna be like, no, what? But y'all been telling me like it close. Like, y'all just about to mud walk and steamroll everybody. But they're gonna get it any way that they can. But all I gotta say is, not who that, but they better end up being everything that they say they're gonna be. They better win the division. They better have double-digit wins. They better be impressive while doing it. They better be impressive while doing it. They got Nathan Peterman to give insight on the Saints offense. Yeah, probably, probably do. But, what does Nathan Peterman know? What did Nathan Peterman know about anything? He can't even be on the field. Let's see. Are you going to make it to the Dallas on the 15th? No, I'm not going to make it to that one. I ain't going to make it to that one. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not. Ross said he think we didn't improve. That remains to be seen, Otis. He could be right, could be wrong. But look, everybody's 0-0. And I ain't about to sit up here I'm not about to sit up here and just wish bad on my team. Like, we don't know what's going to happen until all these games play out. We don't know what's going to happen until they actually play the games. If they don't end up being what we want them to be, then we adjust accordingly. But I just like to reserve my judgment till all the facts come out. I think that when we start overstepping, we start overstepping and start overreacting, sometimes things may be worth overreacting about. And then there got times where there aren't things to worry about. So I have a wait and see approach. I got a wait and see approach. So that's the way I feel about it. But all in all, man, I say it's a new season. I say it's a new offense. Give Derek Carr an opportunity to do what he needs to do. I think the Saints know what he is as a quarterback. I think the Saints know what he brings to the table. And I just think that they're going to accompany a running game behind him. And I also think that they're going to mask up some imperfections of this offensive line to make them effective as well. But, that's just one man's opinion. Can they do it? And I don't think this Carolina Panthers game is going to be easy. All right, and before we go, I have to mention the injury report. The Saints injury report is here. I'm going to block myself by doing this, but it is what it is. You got Pete Warner on there with a shoulder. He was a full participant. You got Willie Gay with a back injury. He had light practice. Marshawn Lattimore with a hip. He was light practice. Nick Saldiveri had a calf injury with a light practice. Jalen Ford with a hamstring did not practice. Dallin Holker with an ankle didn't practice. DeMarco Jackson with the calf did not practice. And Colin Saunders, which is surprised absolutely no one, he has a calf injury and he did not practice either. Normally, with these injury reports, if a guy doesn't practice today, which is Wednesday, tomorrow, which is Thursday, they're not going to play. That's kind of the trend that I've noticed with Dennis Allen. Is that when those guys don't practice Wednesday and Thursday, more than likely they ain't gonna play. I think Marshawn Lattimore is gonna play. I'll be shocked if he don't. I think that to me, I think that I don't know, man. This called me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm kind of thinking that some of these teams aren't letting some of these high profile players play. Some of these guys are having contract disputes and prolonging the process to me, so they don't have to go to training camp. Trent Williams then, like, the whole time, Trent Williams wants a new contract. He wants a new contract. Then all of a sudden, training camp is over, preseason is over, and then all of a sudden he on a plane coming to the 49ers. Like, come on, man. That sounds like one of them situations like, man, just be ready to play week one. That's what it sounds like to me, right? That would sound like to me. And if that means that my seasoned veteran, who was one of the best players on my team, he's going to be there week one, ready to play, in shape, ready to rock and roll, I'm okay with that because I already know what he is as a player. All these soft tissue injuries and all these players that been, seasoned veterans for all these different years, I'm just saying, like, all of a sudden, you never been in a preseason game, ain't played, no nothing. Then all of a sudden, like, it's Panthers week, it's Jets week. Like, all of a sudden we see the players out here that, they've been soft tissue. Like, all of a sudden they out there, all hands on deck. I'm not mad at it. I just wonder. The Saints will win by 1 point, going by past history. Falcons 22, Titans. I don't care how they win. Just win the freaking game. Sounds like a real conspiracy theory to me. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's amazing like how everybody seemed like they hired Benny Hinn to come to their facility a week before games are played. You know what I'm saying? To lay some hands on some folk. And all of a sudden, thank God I'm delivered. But long as they healthy, man, long as they're healthy, because they're going to be needed for their respective teams. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. It's been a fun show, man. Started off talking about one particular thing. Completely got off the rails, started talking about the Falcons. But all in all, man, thank you all so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for making this show what it is. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. Got previous episodes available right here on youtube.com. Also subscribe to the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast, the NFC South Roundtable, which I will one more time put that link inside of the comments. Make sure that you click on the link. It'll bring you directly to the page. Hit that subscribe button, man. We're close to 1,000 subscribers, and we do that every Tuesday at 7 p.m. I want the Who Dat Nation to be representing loud and proud on those shows, man, that I'm on. I really be needing y'all support. You be looking at the chat. It does my heart glad that I see so many members of the Who Dat Nation supporting your boy, enjoying the show. So make sure you all subscribe to that channel. I appreciate it. And also you can follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8. And I want to say to everybody out there, I really do appreciate everything, man. All the people that have been sharing these videos, been liking the videos, and also those people that ain't here, right? The ones that didn't catch it live, always comment at the end of the show, still showing their support that way. Y'all know I ain't about to end the show by, just fading the black. Y'all know I ain't about to rock like that. What y'all think about to happen? What I'm about to give a shout out to? Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Be posted. They be tweeting and be posted. Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. This has been the State of the Saints podcast, powered by BetUS. Sign up today, get 125% on your first 3 deposits up to 2,000 of them fangs. All right. The description is down below. Thank you so much. Till next time. All I gotta say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.